please stand for the pledge.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the
United States of America,
to the republic for which
to
it
the
stands,
republic for which it stands,
one nation,
under God,
indivisible, with liberty
and justice for all.
Try to set this down and hope it works. Okay, the purpose of this is say on the proposed.
Okay, hold the phone up. Okay. Hold the phone microphone near you.
I forgot. Yeah. Thing weighs a ton. Could be trouble. So is there anybody in the audience who would like to speak?
Yeah.
You can physically raise your hand if you want. Okay.
Hi, my name's actually Steve. For some reason, it keeps loading under Michelle, my wife. Just a question regarding stop signs and speed humps. I know it's been a ongoing thing for the village, so just lived here all my life. I'm just trying to find out what is the purpose of the speed humps at the stop signs. It's my understanding that stop signs are meant to be. Yeah.
Steve, I hate to cut you off, but this part of the meeting for the next 10 minutes is if anybody wants to talk just about the chicken farming, chicken raising law.
Okay,
then we'll go into public hearing in a few minutes.
No problem.
Okay. How's your shoulder, by the way, Steve?
Still sore. About four and a half weeks out. A lot of inflammation issues right now, but range of motion coming back. Thanks for asking.
Technical question, since we're waiting. I see 9 people on the screen. Does that mean that's all we have, or is there a way to see if there are other people?
There's 12.
Okay, I guess I'll look.
9, 12. There's 2. There's a speaker view and
yeah, just swipe over, Paul. You'll be able to see the others.
There's a speaker view and
got it.
Gallery. What you call it view.
Thank you.
Gallery, thank you.
Yeah, I see. I'm just swiping. I get the rest of them. Okay.
Hey, Gary, is the
yeah.
Are you getting audio through your computer as well as your phone?
I am not.
Okay, all right. I was just getting a little bit of feedback. I don't know if that was your. It's all right though. I'll deal with it.
I hear it too.
I guess I'll send a text to Heidi just to check in with her.
Sure. We'll give it 3 more minutes.
Heidi's coming on now.
Okay, I guess we can close the public hearing, and at 6:55 and open the regular meeting of the Round Lake Village Board of Trustees. And we shall start with public comment. Stephen.
All right. Hi again. Sorry, I didn't realize you were doing the chicken law first there for public comment. So I try to be realistic. I've lived in the village my whole life, about 41 years. Just trying to understand the purpose of the speed humps and the stop signs together. I understand there's a speeding issue. I understand there's running stop sign issues. Witnessed 3 people today just out for a walk, going through the speed humps, zigzagging around the ones that were in place yesterday. My question is, and I just got a couple of questions, was there ever a traffic study done to see if the intersections warranted having 4-way stops put in? It's always been my understanding that just from looking at highway websites that there has to be or should be a certain amount of traffic to warrant 4-way stops. If the speed humps are meant to slow people down, my understanding is speed humps are to slow people down to 20 miles an hour, where a speed bump is to slow people down to 5 miles an hour. And it seems like speed humps are being placed in place of speed bumps. So has there been any consideration given, if we're trying to slow people down, to just taking out the 4-way stops, painting some crosswalks, and leaving the speed humps in place? Because it seems like the stop signs being used to slow down people are just causing people to get more agitated and just blowing through them and now rolling over the speed humps and not stopping at all, which just seems counterproductive. So questions, I guess, are, was the traffic study, the purpose of having both? Is there a possibility of crosswalks at those 3 intersections? Thank you for letting me speak. And I understand you may or may not have an answer right away.
Yeah, as for the traffic study, that was before my time, I'm pretty sure. And as for the other suggestions, would you possibly put those in writing and send them to me? And then we could start taking a look at that.
Absolutely. And I left out too, I didn't know if other considerations is like, sometimes you see bright orange deflectors on top of stop signs just for better viewing. They don't blink lights. They're bright orange. Can't really miss them. So I'll absolutely
Bright
do that.
orange what?
Bright orange.
Bright orange what?
Reflectors, like you would see at a change of a speed zone or even on top of the speed limit signs. just to make them stick out a little more. But should I send that to you?
Yeah.
Okay.
That'd be fun. That'd be good.
Okay. I'll do that.
Gary, I have a comment I think that might help.
Thank you, Stephen.
Steve, the last survey that was ever done was done prior to when they were planning the round of the bypass. And so that goes back quite a number of years. And even at that time, there were no four-way stop signs at George and Burlington and Haven. There may have been stop signs just east-west, but they weren't four-way. So I think we could probably dig back and find that old study because they were trying to track the number of cars that were coming through the village in anticipation of what would happen if there was a bypass put in. But I think that's the last time we ever had anything. Thanks.
I think the one thing you brought up about speed bumps, I believe, although I'm not 100% sure, that speed bumps are prohibited from public highways, and they have to be only in, like, for instance, parking lots or private property, and cannot be used on public highways. So that's why I believe we're using humps instead of bumps in this case. I do agree with you that the stop sign was most likely put in as a traffic calming measure and not necessarily as a traffic safety measure. So it'd be interesting to go back and figure out. It was after I moved here, not long after I moved here. So it was probably done in 2010 or 2011 is my guess. So go back to that era and find out what was done.
What was the comment? What was the original comment?
Oh, sorry.
Paul, you're muted. Paul,
I just realized that.
Paul,
I muted it
can't-
earlier. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, we can hear you now.
Okay, the only question I have to consider in this is I've been wondering with the speed humps, bumps, whatever they are, and the stop sign, which I personally like, because even if somebody goes around them, they slow down, and it's to protect people mostly. But I wonder, with them in place, when they are in place, do we need lights on the stop sign? Because, that's my question. It seems like overkill to have the flashing light when you got to stop for the speed bump anyway. So I was only wondering whether the flashing light can only be there when the bumps are removed.
Yeah, I was thinking about relocating that, sharing the wealth with that as well. Because it can't be placed on a timer and other things that you suggested. So
You can't just turn it off?
moving
It can't just be turned off?
Yeah, I'm sure we could turn it off, but $1,500 decoration.
I just meant in the bump season. That's not year round, and then leave it or whatever. Just a thought.
Yeah, certainly we can talk about it when we talk about the traffic study as well. Heidi?
Okay.
Okay, Steve?
So just as yesterday, I was approaching Washington Ave, I was watching someone cross Washington Ave coming from the fire department side going across, and a Corvette zigzagged around the speed humps, and that pedestrian jumped about 15 feet because it looked like the car was going to run them over before it got back into his lane. So I know it's slowing people down. I just don't see how zigzagging through speed humps is safer for pedestrians or cyclists, or when that could cause someone to jump and fall off a bike. So I just wanted to, that happened yesterday.
Well, we can't legislate intelligent behavior, unfortunately. There's always going to be morons who, but so.
Well, Steve, you obviously have no empathy for sports car enthusiasts who are very low slung and would want to zigzag around anything like that.
I have to say, you've heard me say this 100 times, I drive a 17-year-old 2004 BMW Z4, and there's not a car in the village that is lower slung than my car, and I can go over those bumps. If I stop at a dead standstill and go over them slowly, it doesn't hit the bottom.
I've heard the Corvette argument before, and I have personally seen a Corvette come, the same kind, stop at that bump and go over it like every other car does. So they are able to.
They could probably get airborne if they wanted to from a dead standstill.
Yeah, I have seen Corvettes zigzag through, just as Steve has, though.
All right. Anything else before we move on?
I think Heidi wanted to say something, but I don't know where she is right now.
She disappeared and she's not coming up on my waiting room, so.
Who is Jerry?
From outer space, somebody, I think, that noise. All right, shall we continue? Heidi can chip in when she gets back. Thank you, Stephen, for that. Superintendent, we've started putting the valves in, you may have noticed. It's some of those valves they're going down eight feet or so. They're really pretty far down in there, and it's a pretty big job. And tomorrow they'll be working on Burlington and Lake, so those roads will be pretty much blocked off. And what else? I guess that's it for now. Animal control officer. We had actually one cat in the village was found a couple days ago, and it looked like a large carnivore had bitten it in the chest. And that same day, a resident reported 2 dead coyotes on Wood Road. So there may be some relation there. Treasurer. Where'd you go, Jess? There you are.
Right here. Can you guys hear me?
Yep.
Okay. All right. So the 1920 annual update document has been filed with the state comptroller. I did email a copy of that to each of you, and it is also in the village office. If the public wants to stop in when it's open, they can check it out. And I'm going to attempt putting it up on the village website as well. So hopefully that'll be done soon. When looking at the AUD, something you'll notice is that as of the close of the last budget, as of May 31st, the unrestricted fund balance was $618,000 or $618,639. So that's the UFB. And I also, regarding the current budget, I emailed each of you a copy of the trial balance. As far as resolutions go, there are 2 that I need. The first one is going to be the approval of the final 2019-2020 budget amendments. I did email that handout as well. If there are any questions or whatnot, I need resolutions to make that happen.
I'll make a resolution, we accept that.
Can I just jump in for a sec? Gary, can you let Heidi in? She's in the waiting room.
Oh, my paper was in front of
She's
her.
having
Yep,
some
thank you.
internet problems. Okay.
I'll second.
Can you guys just
Discussion?
back up for a second? Because I kind of missed that, and maybe for Heidi's benefit, just redo that resolution. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on. Having
Tom had
internet
made-
issues here. So can you please tell me again what's going on?
Jess?
Okay, just looking for approval of the 2019-2020 budget amendments to close out the previous budget.
And we had a motion and a second, and now we are in discussion. Kim, did you get the?
No, I didn't get any of it. So Tom, you made the motion,
Yes.
and who
And I
seconded?
seconded.
Thank
Matt.
you. Okay.
Yep.
Okay, and then the last resolution that I need is regarding.
We got to vote
What was
first.
that?
We have to vote
Oh,
first.
sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Are we ready to vote, or do we need to discuss?
Yeah.
Okay, Tom,
Yes.
Heidi,
Yes.
Paul,
Yes.
Matt,
Yes.
Gary.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, last resolution. Following reconciliation of the fire department's 1920 budget, approval is needed to transfer the final distribution of fire contract revenues in the amount of $122,774.01 to the fire department's equipment reserve, and then the entry followed.
Yeah,
So
I'll make the
moved.
resolution. Okay. I'll second.
Okay. All right, Tom.
Discussion?
Oh,
Yes.
okay. Heidi,
Yes.
Paul,
Yes.
Matt,
Yes.
Gary.
Yes.
And that's it from me,
Yes,
other than
no.
the abstract.
Okay, thank you. And Chief, I got your capital reserve question, and I'll research it. When capital reserves are set up, they're set up saying that you can use it for X, Y, and Z purpose. So I've got to check that out, but I don't anticipate any problem with that.
Okay.
I mean, I would assume that's what it was set up for. I just feel a little more comfortable if I could see it in writing somewhere.
Okay.
I'll try to get an answer for you on that tomorrow. Okay, so go ahead.
Can you hear me?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Am I there? Okay. We've been plugging along throughout everything. Still going. Busy month last month. We had 50 calls. We're already at almost 30 calls this month. So where we slowed down for a couple months at the beginning, things have started to pick back up. The car and the truck that we had ordered, it got held up in production, came in over the last couple of weeks. We're in the process of getting them lettered and then radios and et cetera put in. So it'll be September before those are put into service. Other than that, not much of anything. There's no parades, there's no activities, nothing around town or any of the areas. So
Okay, thank you. Code enforcement, Peter?
Peter is muted.
He's muted.
No, you can hear me now.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
playing hard to get.
Right. We had 11 C of Os and C of Cs and C of Cs issued this past month. We have 6 new building permits. 3 of them are for new homes and 3 are for renovations of homes. The planning board has nothing on its agenda. The zoning board has dealing with 3 items. One is an extension out onto 8th Street, which it turns out is parkland, and you can't be extended out into village parkland. James Avenue, he's got issues with lot coverage and side setbacks, but it's starting to look like he's going to take the shipping container out. He cut a tree down and built a ramp, so hopefully it's going to come out. And on Kingsley Avenue, we have a pool and patio on village property. I spoke to Tom about that, and we looked at it and wrote a letter saying that we'd like to see that removed by September, I believe 22nd, but by the end of the summer, it has to be gone. And that's it from code enforcement.
Okay, anybody have any questions?
I have a question about that pool and I guess, what do you call it, porch or?
Yeah,
Patio.
patio
I mean,
and retaining wall.
Do we know, Peter, that as a result of your letter, that the resident will comply?
Well, I think what we'll do is if he doesn't comply, we'll start ticketing him on a weekly basis. And so each ticket would get bigger and bigger as we go along. I don't know if he's going to comply or not. His attitude actually was, he and his friends have gone around the village and they can find lots of people with things on village property. And I said, good, then give me a list. He's not thrilled about it. He put a lot of work into it. And that's why we decided, okay, we'll give him to the end of the summer. Let him enjoy it for the summer, but it has to come down.
Well, as long as you're comfortable with that, I am. But if you don't believe or you have any reason to suspect that we have to take other action, I think we really should take other action.
Well, I did talk to Dan Shapiro on the zoning board, and he's very concerned about it. And he said, being that the pool is on village property, there's a liability issue for the village.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not overly concerned about certain things, but a pool next to the road that has some traffic going down, especially with the restaurant traffic and whatnot. I mean, it's not a huge pool, but it's still a big pool, and kids are in it. I've seen them. I know what you're talking about, and I just wonder if we can't get him to comply. Is there some other action we have to take to make him do so?
May I comment on this?
Yes, sir.
What has been done for a number of years is that no action is taken with respect to structures on village property unless there is a complaint. If a complaint is made, then the village follows up. If the village follows up, then either the structure has to be removed or the landowner gets a revocable license from the village. And that license says that the landowner will keep the structure insured, that the landowner will remove it in a very short time period if required by the village, but if no such requirement is made, the structure is allowed to remain. The village can't give an easement, but it can give this license.
I've had a number of complaints, especially from the zoning board on this issue. And I always want people to realize that the village of Round Lake is a historic district, and putting swimming pools, patios, and retaining walls right at the street, probably within 3 feet of the street, in the village right of way, it doesn't have a nice look.
To go back to Tom, I think to what Thomas was saying, and I was wondering, is you said you were just going to give them until the end of the summer and then start ticketing if they don't. Wouldn't it have been possible to say, if you agree to comply at the end of the summer, we'll await, but if we don't hear your agreement, we'll start ticketing sooner?
I could ask that question. I will.
Hey, Peter, could you just repeat what you said about the 8th Street? There was an application for an extension on 8th Street?
Yeah.
I missed.
On 8th Street, actually, it's there's a front stoop, a concrete stoop is on 8th Street right now. And they would like to.
Peter, I think you mean 9th Street. I think that's where the confusion is.
I'm sorry, you're right. It's 9th Street.
Gotcha. Okay, okay.
And in looking at it, I realized that paper street is actually parkland, village parkland, and there's nothing that we could do about it. And it did come up to the zoning board probably 20 years ago, where the owner at that time wanted to enclose it, and it was shut down. They said no, This is a new owner and
Now I understand. I was a little confused when you said 8th
Okay.
Street was parkland.
Okay.
So, okay. Yeah, I'm good. Yeah, we're good now. Okay. Thank you.
And that flexibility to give a revocable license on, for village property, the standard goes up sky high when you're talking about parkland. So as a practical matter, unless you're giving a license to use parkland for a day or two, the way we do for Whirlus and other similar events, a long-term license would not be available to the landowner.
Yeah,
Okay.
I think I'd just like to weigh in just a little bit at the end here, because I really do believe we have a history here in the village of letting people go after the fact. Once they've done their made their changes, then we start having to jump through hoops, sending letters and threats and whatnot. And really what we ought to be doing, and I know this is, I'm globalizing this issue in effect in the village, is that really we ought to be stopping this when it starts to happen. And I know that's not always the case, but here with the situation with the patio and the pool, he was given, as I understand it, he was given early notice that this was not a good idea. And he went ahead and did it anyway. And something's wrong with that.
Well, we could change the letter and have them take it down next week.
no, I like the idea of saying, this is, we want to make sure that you're going to abide by the agreement of taking it down in September. And if you're not going to do it, we're going to start ticketing you now.
Yeah, good.
Is he coming before the zoning board?
No, he never.
He never filed paperwork on that?
He never did. He never spoke to Dan.
Okay.
His only option is to come before the village board, since the zoning board of appeals doesn't have the authority to authorize any construction on village lands.
That's good to know.
Okay, so next we have auditorium AP3 report.
Lydia not here?
She's away.
Lydia said she couldn't make it, yeah.
All right, she sent an email to the board. Everybody read it on the board about the input they're getting about the
Yes, I read it.
Okay.
Yeah.
And she needs she's looking for a resolution, right?
They're getting a couple, a couple different bids and approaches to fixing that post. But in order to proceed, she was wondering if we would approve a round sum, not to exceed. Get this, a solid engineered quote.
What's your recommendation, Heidi?
I think I like what I think they're doing their due diligence, that they are on a second engineer. They have a good solid idea what Ryan Biggs would do. And now we're talking to Craig Maloney, who has a different approach. But I think in order not to hold it up, I think that I'd like to move that we approve up to $6,800 for an engineer to decide how to handle this, how to deal with the post.
where would the money come from, Heidi?
Well, that was a discussion. We were talking about, is it parkland? Is it charitable gifts? Anybody else have thoughts on that?
Well, I guess I defer on one part to the attorney. The charitable gifts, obviously, that's an easy reach in terms of where you get the money from. But I don't know whether parkland would fall into that. I guess I'd be happy to do it, but I'd need to know a little bit more whether it's.
The restrictions on the use.
This looks like a repair and maintenance kind of thing, which really shouldn't be. I mean, if it were larger, like a capital kind of construction,
Okay.
parkland would be appropriate, but this looks like we're just repairing one beam.
Hopefully.
Yeah, right.
All right.
So the charitable gift fund.
Yes. So that's, I'm making a resolution, Kim.
I'll second it under those restrictions that we take it out of the charitable fund.
Okay, for its discussion, I just want to be clear. My understanding is that the 6,800 would cover us if we ended up needing to go with the more expensive route, but there is they're looking at a possible significantly less expensive. So this doesn't commit us to the higher amount. We can still just go with the lower amount if we feel that's a better way to go, correct?
Right. This is not for the project, it's for the engineer for the project.
That's what I meant. But there's still a significant difference. There could be a much lower proposal, and this doesn't lock us into the more expensive one. We can always
just saying
up to exactly.
Right. So we'll get the approach from the less expensive person who's saying that there may be plans of work done previously that wouldn't have to be redone if we already had that. So he thinks he can get his hands on those. So yeah, we wouldn't spend it unnecessarily, but just in case that isn't going to work, he doesn't find it, it isn't available, that this would be a reasonable sum that that either one of them would charge. So.
Gotcha. Okay.
Time for a vote.
Tom?
Yes.
Heidi?
Yes.
Paul?
Yes.
Matt?
Yes.
Gary?
Yes. And on to old business with an election update from Kim.
Oh. We have no surprises. We have all the incumbents are running by themselves on the ballot. So what I do want to find out, Gary, and maybe I know you've been putting early voting on there. Is that can you talk about that at all?
It's early voting, same as it was last year. And there's various locations around, well, 3 locations around Saratoga County where you can vote starting October 24th. And I'm assuming that you go there and they give you your appropriate ballot and you vote and turn it in. And I guess, as Mr. Coldrick noted, that we will be on the same ballot as Joe Biden and Donald Trump.
That's right.
So that's something we're going to be framing on our walls.
I might have to spoil my ballot. We'll see.
All right.
I'll be sure to get a sample up on the wall.
Election question. At what point, I know there was discussion, I don't know if it had been fully decided, but wasn't voting going to move to the firehouse? And if so, at what point?
We decided not to do that for a couple of reasons.
Yeah, I'm fine with it at staying where it is, but I don't recall that discussion, and I wasn't sure because I got the notice from the county to vote at the community room. I just want to make sure that was accurate. So that's fine by me.
Yeah, oh yeah. One thing that happened that influenced that was that we are District 3 is what we were. It then included Maltaville and the village. Now District 3 only includes the village. So there's less need for parking because a lot of most people can walk.
Yeah, I think
nostalgic.
I don't know. I think the community room is more convenient for most people who use it for the post office anyway. So I think that's great. And I know the firehouse was so that we could be easier and not try to put cars into the middle of the village. But so that's great.
I just wanted to add also too, if anybody is requesting an absentee ballot, you can print that off online and then actually email your request for the absentee ballot to the County Board of Elections. So that's absentee ballot at SaratogaCountyNewYork.gov. You can just fill it out in your house, take a picture of it with your phone and email it to them, and they'll send your absentee ballot in the mail. So makes
Is
it
that
very
Saratoga
easy to
County, NY?
do. Yep. Absentee ballot at SaratogaCountyNY.gov.
Also, got an email today about some legislation pending. People being able to drop off early voting ballots or absentee ballots with the clerk of a village. So we'll find out about that and let you know if that passes and how that's going to be done.
Okay, next ball field update. The large dilapidated block house was taken down last week. So that liability is gone. And Malta-Round Lake Little League is up and running and having a good time. Anybody else want to say anything about ball field?
Did you guys decide on a location for the pavilion?
We decided on a location for the pavilion, and Jason Preisner's getting some prices on a concrete slab, how much that would cost. So I'm waiting on that from him.
Okay.
Next on the agenda is I hereby extend the state of emergency due to the COVID-19 situation. And, oh, that's right, the water and sewer bills are due without penalty by the end of the month. Is that correct, Kim?
Yeah.
The end of this month? Yeah.
Yeah. Postmarked by August 31st or slipped under the door by the 31st.
Okay. And next on the agenda is set additional board meetings.
So then the state of emergency would stop as in September, right? Is that what?
Yeah.
We will have completed the bills.
That is the plan, yes. Unless power goes to my head.
Gary, do we require a state of emergency to be having these meetings online? So if we have to keep meeting.
I don't think so, but we can check.
No.
It was mostly for the, I just checked and Tom said no.
Okay.
So it's for the water and sewer bills.
Right. I realize that. I thought maybe this would be included or was included. All right.
Good point, though. And set additional board meetings. Was the intent of that, Kim, was the intent of putting that on to schedule the first and third Wednesdays? Or
I guess,
are we doing it ad
I
hoc or?
I think we went back and forth on email and everybody chimed in and said, yeah, let's do it. So I just thought we'd make it official. And
So do you need a resolution for that to set the meetings, or do we just announce that, or
No.
how's that? Okay.
no, I don't think so.
I don't think so. We didn't when we went from 2 to 1, so I doubt when we go from 1 to 2.
We just want to let everybody
have an
know what's going on
explanation,
with it. Yeah.
Yeah, an explanation.
So the next
right now.
meeting will be the the next meeting will be the first Wednesday of September. Is that correct?
September 2nd?
September 2nd?
Yeah.
All right,
At
we
7.
can,
Are we doing them at 7 o'clock?
at 7?
Okay.
My
And,
Yeah, so
go ahead.
I was going to say, my understanding was that the general agenda topics were going to be still on the, was it the third Wednesday? And the ones at the first Wednesday of the month would be, how would we describe those?
In a
Workshop.
workshop kind of thing, yeah.
yeah.
Oh.
So
And
so
we
we're
go
gonna go.
regular public meetings.
It's still a regular public meeting, but if someone's concerned about the traditional items we go through, that's not going to be handled at that meeting. You know, the treasurer's report and all that. And plus, if we
Right.
so
right.
chose, we could cancel one if we needed to.
I think the way that I would recommend this works is that we have a standing workshop once a month, and that it goes forward on that at that date and time, unless the mayor circulates a notice to the board posted on the village website that says that there's no need for the workshop meeting. At the workshop meeting, there will be discussion items only and no action as a matter of policy, but the board can always act. If you have a public meeting, which a workshop is, the board may act.
Mhm.
It may not be good optics, it may not be good policy, but the board does have that authority.
So if there were an emergency, we could handle it, for instance, at that night. But I like that idea of calling it a workshop meeting, differentiating two, not as if we're having two regular meetings every month.
And just so people that may not be aware fully of what we're intending to go to 2 meetings a month with the idea that, you know, the first Wednesday of the month will be covering a specific item that's pertinent to the village, for instance, you know, parking or something like that. So, we'll have a workshop around parking that first Wednesday. That way we can get a little bit more in depth, have a little bit more discussion around it. And then proceed to have our regular business on the third Wednesday of the month. The idea being that we can just have, a little bit more time spent on important topics. And the reason why we're doing it regularly is because it's just is a lot easier to do it that way. You don't have to publish in the
Schedule
newspaper.
public meetings.
Exactly.
Special meetings.
Exactly. So just so everybody's aware of kind of what we're doing.
Mr. Mayor, I'm a little more comfortable with that if we do this by resolution. And that way it's reduced to writing, and if there's ever a question, it's clear what's being done, what the policy is, but yet what the board's authority is.
Well, I'll make a resolution about
I
that.
would work with Kim to put that together for review at the next meeting.
Okay.
He moved it, I'll second it.
Did Tom want to have specific language drafted for the next? That's I think what Tom was suggesting, right? That you wanted to have something specific for the next meeting versus voting on it right now.
No, I think we'll pass the resolution, but Tom, you and I will work on the actual language of it.
Yes, and when the minutes are reviewed, if
Yeah.
Kim and I don't have it right, which I don't expect to be the case, it can be
Gotcha.
corrected.
Okay, I got you.
Okay.
So
We should vote, I guess, yeah. Tom?
someone,
Yes.
okay.
Heidi?
Yes.
Paul?
Yes.
Matt?
Yes.
And Gary?
Yes. Okay, next on the agenda is got an email from Whirlus asking for a waiver of the $3,500 annual fee because all of the fundraising events have been canceled for the year so far. So the village has not had to the village crew has not had to exert any extra effort to do anything, and Wireless is still maintaining the gardens to their normal state of perfection. So I personally think it's a good idea, and our finances are not that dire that it would affect us too much.
Yeah, I think it's a good idea too, Gary. Nobody's doing anything for this, and that was the purpose of the agreement to begin with. So I don't see why we have to ask them for their $3,500. So I'd make a motion that we, I don't know what the right way to say it is. that we
Waive.
Waive. Yeah, we waive the $3,500.
The contract, right? Do we release them from the contract for the year 2020?
Yes.
Yes.
I don't know what else is in the contract. You might not really, you might just want to release them from the payment on the contract.
That's a good idea.
Payments, yeah.
Okay,
Okay, just for the payment then. Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
Second?
Sure.
Was it seconded? I didn't hear.
Heidi just did.
Okay. Oh, you did, okay.
All right, discussion?
We'll vote. Tom?
Yes.
Heidi?
Yes.
Paul?
Yes.
Matt?
Yes.
Gary?
Yes. Okay, next, correspondence.
I don't have any.
I got a fax from the Murthwaite family in Scotland, who's a childless widow who was diagnosed with, oh, seriously. But I don't think that needs to be read into the record. Approval of minutes? No minutes. Approval of abstract?
We have minutes.
We have minutes. Why didn't I see the minutes?
I don't see them. Did you
I
send
emailed
them?
it to you guys now.
They came out a while ago, I
Oh.
thought.
Yeah.
Probably sent them
Oh,
too far back.
I
was
did.
too
I
quick.
did see them then. I thought you meant today. Yeah, I think I did see those. Yeah.
Got
I'll go back to-
the regular meeting and then the
Yeah.
extension.
Yeah, I remember now. I saw it when it came in.
Oh, yes,
Seems like a lifetime ago.
it does.
Those were very fun to draft up, I'll just say. I enjoyed that. Thank you.
Yeah, how could I forget those minutes? Yes. Motion
It's a
to
different
accept
month then.
the, let's see,
Is it 7/17? July 15th and July 23rd.
So moved. Or do we have to do them separately?
Separate, yeah. But you can,
Okay,
Yeah.
I'll take the 15th and it's so moved.
okay.
Second.
discussion? Poll?
Tom,
Yes.
Heidi,
Yes.
Paul,
Yes.
Matt, and Gary.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, yes.
All right. We'll do the
And I'll
other one
move to
quick.
approve the 17th.
The
17th, right?
23rd.
15th and the
23rd.
23rd.
Sorry,
Third.
my bad. Yep. Move to approve the 23rd.
Okay. Thanks.
Second.
Thank you. We'll vote again. Tom,
Yes.
Heidi, Paul,
Yes.
Yes.
Matt, Gary.
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you.
Approval of abstract?
Move to approve the abstract in the amount of $395,101.05.
Second.
Discussion?
That does include the annual shared station payment to the Round Lake Hose Company in the amount of $225,000. So that's why it's a little higher than usual.
Yep.
We'll vote Tom,
Yes.
Heidi, Paul,
Yes.
Gary, Matt,
Yes.
Matt, Gary.
Yes.
Okay.
And village attorney.
The village crew, and I presume a contractor or two, were very busy in front of our house yesterday and very close to some objects that could have been damaged with all that heavy equipment, and they could not have been more careful. They really did a great job, and they worked straight through. So I just want to express my thanks for their care and diligence. Other than that, I have nothing.
Yeah, that is why we went with these people, because they're the experts in delicate digging. Village mayor has nothing. Tom?
No, nothing for me.
Heidi?
What was being discussed earlier with the stop signs and when I was having my technical difficulties, stop signs and the speed humps, because I do hear from people on my street about speed humps and generally that they would like more speed humps. We still have a problem. So I didn't know what was discussed or decided. I don't need to hear the whole thing, but what, did someone ask a question about it?
Yeah, nothing was decided, but we are going to, a question of whether a traffic study was done, and we're going to revisit the bypass traffic study, see, revisit why the stop signs, four-way stops are there in the first place, possibility of removing them and keeping the speed bumps. What else?
I believe
Need
that
for
he
the
promised,
flashing light.
I believe that the fellow who was commenting agreed to your request to put it in writing and send you an email.
Oh, that's true. So he'll summarize it, and I'll send it to you.
That's Scott, who's showing, I think, as Michelle on your screen.
Stephen, yeah.
It's good. Oh, Stephen, excuse me, Stephen. Sorry about that. I'm terrible with names.
Yeah, it's getting dark
Who's
in that
next?
part of the village, and he's
That's
in
right.
the
Yeah.
I thought he was in witness protection, actually. Never mind.
Well,
All right,
if there's
Paul?
any speed bumps, if there's any speed
No,
hump,
nothing.
or
Oh.
it's still a drag strip down here. And I have one village resident told me that he would like to buy his own speed hump if that would be helpful for us. I'm curious. So,
No, I believe you. Cars do go fast down there.
We do have the ability to take donations, right? So
well, if somebody was to really mean that, could they buy their own and have or contribute the funds and have the village add one?
They could host a speed hump like like a highway.
Yeah.
at 2x4s and 6-inch nails.
Which direction does the nail go?
Where's that?
Before we would even consider taking a donation or any other action on a speed hump or bump, I would request a attorney-client session with the board.
Yes.
Okay.
All right, Paul?
Nothing.
Matthew?
nothing. No.
All right, and we don't need an executive session. Is that correct, Kim?
That is
We
correct.
We do have a public
And
comment.
I will- Public comment? Last public comment session? Gotta add that to the agenda. Anyone wish to be heard?
Do we want to mention that we didn't discuss the chickens, or we didn't resolve the chickens tonight because we're going to push it to the next meeting?
Yeah, that's on the next meeting because of some stuff that we have to do with the county before we can, technically pass the law. So.
Kim and I have completed the submission form, essentially a 2-page cover sheet to go to the county. We both talked to Jason Kemper, and the only thing we have left to do is to put together an environmental assessment form because it is a zoning change, and I believe that Kim and I can get that done tomorrow and submit it tomorrow or Friday to the county. And then at the next meeting, the board would walk through the environmental assessment form to make sure that it is indeed consistent with the board's view, and then the board can vote both on adopting that form and on adopting or rejecting the law.
I have a question related to this, and this occurred to me back when we did the comprehensive plan, because we had to do the same thing. We had to funnel it through the county for similar reasons. And what I didn't understand, or what I thought to ask at the time was, is there any type of comment that the county, when the county gets these changes, whatever they're for, zoning, comprehensive plan, whatever, is there any opportunity for the residents to comment about these things to the county? Or does that just happen when we meet in general session?
As a practical matter, it happens when we meet in general session, like tonight's public hearing. In theory, someone could go to the planning board meeting at the county. I don't believe anybody ever does. All the county ever cares about, and it's reflected in the letters we've gotten over and over again, is whether or not the proposed action by the village would have any countywide impact. And since Little Round Lake doesn't have any countywide impact, it's pretty formulaic.
Yeah. Thank you.
I have one other issue.
Any other?
Yeah, one thing I'd like to bring up. I've asked the assistants from the fire department of the fire marshal to do an inspection of the inn at Round Lake. So I'm waiting for the fire marshal from Malta to call me, and we will connect and do an inspection of the inn.
Okay, you should know that there's some New York state law through which is adopted what used to be the International Fire Code and is now the New York State Fire Code as of May of this year. And it provides for a right for the fire marshal to go in and make these inspections. That language is unconstitutional. And there's lots of case law out there that says that the government, just because it's got good intention, just because it's safety related, cannot walk into somebody's apartment. So the landlord could be perfectly happy to say, yeah, you can look at all the common areas, but the statutorily required inspections of the apartments themselves cannot be done without A, the consent of the person living there, which of course is always the goal, or probable cause that comes to the fire marshal from God knows where, that there is a violation of law within the structure, within the apartment.
We have probable cause from the Albany Fire Service that provide inspections for the sprinkler system of the building that it's not operating.
Okay, then that would get us, and when I say us, I mean the village plus the town kind of working as a unit, that would get us through the front door, but we still can't do it without a court order unless we have cooperation.
So do we contact the owner and say we're coming on this particular date?
With whom are you dealing at the town? Which fire marshal?
I'm not sure of his name. He's a retired Saratoga Springs fireman.
Okay, he's going to be in my office at 10 o'clock on Monday morning talking about these issues.
Oh, great. I'd love to.
Come on up and meet with us, and we'll talk about a coordinated way to attack that particular issue.
Okay.
That is on the front burner.
Okay. That's it.
Okay, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So move to adjourn.
Wait, I have a public comment.
Oh, sorry.
Tina.
Sorry, Tina.
I'm sorry, I was waiting my turn. I just wanted to point out with the speed humps going in, there was a comment made that while the speed humps are in place during the warmer weather, is it really necessary to have the flashing red sign turned on? Could that possibly be changed, only having the flashing red stop sign when the speed bumps are not there? I know there's a lot of
Yes.
contention, and just wondering what it would take to propose something like that.
It's already been
I already
proposed,
did
and
earlier.
we're gonna look at it.
Yeah, I
We're gonna
brought up
take
the
a look
same
at that.
issue in the
Exactly.
earlier public comment session. So we're
Oh,
I
sorry, I
raised the
missed
same concerns. That's all right. So I hear that too. So we'll look at that.
It just makes sense. It's a fair trade-off, I think. So,
Yeah.
okay, thank you.
Okay, anyone else? A motion to adjourn?
Move to adjourn.
Second.
Second.
Aye.
Oh,
Thank you all
Gary,
for coming.
Gary, you still there? Can you stay on a
Yeah.
second afterward?
Sure.
Good night, everybody. Well, I'll wait for
A
that.
non-board,
Aye.
We done?
a non-board issue. Are you going into the
Okay.
office afterward? Gary, will
Who,
you
me?
be going into the office?
Yeah. Yes.
Can you just look, when I signed checks today, I was wearing glasses. They were on your desk right in front of the desk. I think I brought